I'm so excited to see inside. I love the outside.
Well, let's go
What do you
take a
have
look.
in here?
I thought we would walk right by our little tasting room here, and we'll come back there.
Later. All right.
But first off, we'll take a little tour through our production facility.
Those are some big beams.
Yeah, they are big beams.
I like it.
Well, I understand all this
Over here.
wood, like these 2x8s, you guys milled on the property from your trees that you cut.
A lot of the wood we did. Some of it we had to buy from those lumber stores, but
Yeah.
but they wanted to buy my wood because it was worth so much. It was pretty much a trip.
I hear your wood is so dense.
Didn't something happen with a contractor?
The contractors, of course, modern contractors use
Oh,
nail
yeah.
guns, and we couldn't get the nails. So, and I require Galvy for everything I build, so that's another thing they don't do. So he had to buy his first hammer that he'd bought in like 20 years.
I love that. I love that.
I know, he didn't like me for that.
So if we start in this way,
Okay.
these doors are kind of interesting here. They came from the Seattle Art Museum. They were the interior lobby doors. There's one over there too, and they came
beautiful.
together. It was,
They're also really tall.
and they're so heavy.
I bet.
They're so heavy. But
This is where you put the fresh squeezed juice?
no, generally this is just for moving juice or storing extra juice. But that table right out there is our sorting table. And when we have just harvested juice, we pull that table in and it hooks right up to this thing. And Steve uses the tractor to dump loads of bins of apples on there.
Okay.
We sort them, wash them, push them in here. And then this thing's full of water and it's circulating like mad. And it gives them another wash, which is great. The apples come out really clean. And then they go up the auger. This gives them one final wash right
So
here
it's
as
spinning
they
and
go up.
raising them up as it goes.
Yeah. See, and it has a inside like a big Cuisinart blade.
Nice.
And then we just pull this guy out and build up what you call a cheese here, which is layers of boards and cloths. And so you've got your board, you put this big cloth on it, and this plops out just as much as you need to make that one cheese, and you fold over the edges and put another board on and build it up to about 14 layers.
And this
Switch
is how
it.
you get most of the crude particles of the crushed apples out and the juice free.
Yes. And then we spin it around here. This thing comes up against this and squeezes the juice
That's smaller
out.
than I was visualizing. I like it. All right.
And it just is all hooked up to a sump pump at this point down here and collects the juice. And it's a great little machine.
I've never seen this equipment because I haven't been in a cidery before, just wineries and breweries.
It's a nice one, a nice design because it goes up. Those are the blades, the
That
chopper
goes
blades.
up into the auger up there, and you notice the different signs?
I do. One goes inside of the other?
No.
No, one's for American fruit, flabby, and one's for European fruit that has a lot of fiber in it, and American fruit, of course, doesn't have a lot of fiber. So to make a pomace for a cider apple that has this, you have to get a smaller amount. And then American fruit, if you put them in this, it'd already be applesauce. It wouldn't even press. It just squirts right out of the cloth. So you have
Yeah, you don't get any juice. It's surprising.
It was a learning curve. You know,
it was.
you have this tool, and it's like, what do you have these for? Okay.
That's how I learned
Yeah.
my best lessons the
Yeah.
hard way.
Yeah, this is Austrian, and the manual barely was in High German, so we had to just kind of.
Even the instructions are in German.
A lot of Ach too, and
Yeah.
I like that.
But the one thing we really appreciate about this design is that this comes up, so you don't get like an auger pressing down with the juice, the grease running off the auger into the. This keeps it really clean, which is
You
great.
can taste it in some people's cider
Really?
because they do it reversed, and like that was the first thing a real cider company did was make sure all the oil's down below.
This is the full extent of our production facility. As you can see, it's pretty tight, pretty small, but the juice is all pressed there and pumped directly into these. Generally, these first two fermentation tanks are
Those
first.
I recognize.
Yeah.
You do
Tank.
your testing for pH and stuff over there?
Well, actually, I have a lab upstairs where we do
Oh,
all
nice.
that. It's actually those windows up there are.
Ah, perfect. You need a lab to make good wine or cider
Yeah.
or beer.
Yeah, pretty minimal. You know, we're testing for acids and gravity, total acidity,
pH, yeah.
pH, yeah. So,
Bricks.
yeah, the
Oh, you
bricks.
test the bricks in the field, I imagine.
Pretty much, yeah.
How much time do they normally spend in the fermentation?
You know, it totally depends. But for those, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Generally, it's so cold in here, it's more like 8 weeks.
But the slower
And then they get their
fermentation
first
is not a
rack out.
bad thing.
No, it's a very good thing. Yeah, we've had some experiences with trying to buy juice later in the season and then fermenting it when it's like 70 outside, and we're like, oh, that's not
I was
good.
reading about a Normandy technique in which they protein starve juice in order to make it ferment at a lower alcohol and still get all the flavor.
That's called keeving.
That's it. I couldn't remember the word sieving.
Yeah.
I thought I never heard of such a thing. That was cool.
Leave it to the French to come up with that, right? Although I think it's pretty common in England as well,
Well, now.
too. But they do. It starts out in the orchard where they don't use nitrogen, so the apples are nitrogen deprived, and then they happens pretty fast. I think within about 8 days. But you've got to have pretty good temperature control, and the gross lees go up, and the stuff drops to the bottom, and then you just extract out the middle, and you've got this really nice clear juice that's fairly stable, not entirely stable, but we've experimented with it, but.
Of course.
But it's
How could
kind of
you not?
scary because you end up with something kind of nice and sweet, but to me it almost ends up always too sweet. So then if you try to pitch a little bit more yeast into it to get it to go a little bit drier,
Eat a little more of the.
it takes too much, and it's hard to find that balance between.
And you also go over tax bracket that
yeah, it can go
increases
that way.
significantly.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah,
Can be a profit margin sometimes, I imagine.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
Where do we go? Where does the juice go next?
So into these two main fermentation tanks, and so that's about 1,400 gallons between these two. So it doesn't all go there, obviously. So these guys also often serve as primary fermenters, and
And they're jacketed for temperature control.
no, they're not jacketed. It just stays cool in here.
Well, then they look cool.
Yeah, and they look cool. Yeah. Now this guy's jacketed for temperature control. That's a bright
That's a
tank.
beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the bright tank. And
All right,
This
so
is-
do you store it before you bottle it?
extensively, yes.
And that is in,
Well, it all gets moved around.
Okay.
You know, once we start racking it, we rack 3 times at least before we try to bottle or keg or do anything
racking is
with
when you
it.
clarify it by siphoning off the clear juice and leaving the sediment in the bottom.
Exactly, moving it from tank to tank.
Do you ever do malolactic fermentation?
Not really, because it tends to be really spontaneous in apple juice, and we're
It
trying to
is.
hold on to that acidity. So we don't do so much, but we just rack it, so then we don't have to filter. We don't do any of that, so we get our
That's so
clarity
much
just
better.
from
I've been to some
racking.
wineries in California where they are so in love with their molecular level filters and their pumps, they just move it from here to there. Well, that's why California had lousy Pinot Noir
Oh.
in the beginning, because the winemakers couldn't leave it alone. They had to play with it.
Oh.
And every time you breathe on Pinot Noir, you lose flavor. So finally they figured out, charge more for it, keep the winemaker away from it. And yeah.
It seems to be the ticket, doesn't it? Leave it alone. It's all going to do its thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Yeah.
And then you bottle it,
Well, this first
Oh,
area
good.
serves also as our bottling area. It's just,
so how many different ciders do you normally produce in a year?
I don't think we have a normal anymore. We're
How many
producing
did you
new ones
produce
all the
last
time. Last year we did 8 different styles, I think, maybe 9, something like that. Yeah, always we're coming up with new ones. New, either it's a single varietal or just a new blend. We really try to stay away from putting anything other than apples in our cider. We're
course.
kind of purists in that respect. But we do make one with blackberries, and it's a very popular cider. So there you
I
go.
imagine.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
why don't we taste some of these ciders?
Let's do that.
Welcome to Tasting Room.
I am so excited about this, Corey. We've seen the orchard, we've seen the equipment. Now let's see
The final.
finished product.
All
We're
right.
going to start with.
All right. So I'm starting you with our Spark. This is our kind of an introductory cider. As you can tell, it's very fragrant, but it's sweet enough for that kind of beginning cider drinker that may be coming from a different world but still thinks of cider as something sweet, something that is non-alcoholic. But then there's the more seasoned cider drinkers that look for complexities in it, and it has all that as well. It's from our orchard as well as Lazy J out in Port Angeles.
It's such a
We blend in things like our Dabonet, our Kingston Black, but as well as like Browns or Winter Banana and Melrose and Kings and things that you don't really see in the grocery store, but you can find them at farmers markets.
So it must be a complex blend like this must be kind of difficult to achieve perfection. I mean, but from the nose, so far you did.
It definitely is. But that's the beauty of cider is majority of great ciders are blends.
As are wines.
Totally.
In the wine world, even though you're buying a bottle of Cabernet off the shelf, it can be 25% something else, and it almost always is. The
Yeah.
big thing to put in these days is Syrah. It used to be Merlot. Now they put in both, but Syrah gives it more flesh. This is a beautiful mouthfeel, rich, good acidity, and it lingers. I mean, it's got a finish, a sophisticated, elegant finish.
Absolutely.
I'm very
Yeah.
impressed.
It's also bottle conditioned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where that
That's also-
the bottle condition.
That's what I was talking about.
That
So it
makes
goes
a
with that
difference.
secondary fermentation in bottle. It also brings the alcohol up to 8.9%, so it has a little bit more of a kick. Some people buy with alcohol in mind, so it kind of being at a premium price point, it helps with that.
This is a fun one to drink through. 8.9. Now, you typically wine, you know that you're going to drink at 12%. You only want a couple glasses, possibly. But this one here, you don't. It's cider. People don't know we've made something
And they
that's
don't
more
expect
toward
it.
a wine level, and people they get pretty tipsy quick and go, okay, that's enough. Yeah, what's up with that? It's like it's good.
It's
Keep going.
delicious.
Yeah.
From there, though,
Real quick on that. The apples that we do get from Lazy J, he's in the Olympic Peninsula here. He's the first organic orchard in the Olympic Peninsula. And we're, again, the first organic cider apple orchard in the Olympic Peninsula. So that's what this bottle's with. We can't, both of those first. Made for the beginner customer or somebody that's sophisticated to understand the dimensional quality of cider.
I know that a very dry cider can put someone off if they're not expecting it and don't know what it is, which
but you can have dry as in just dry and acid, kind of a sessionable modern cider, or you can have dry and fruity. And that's what we'll get to with our Paardensplank. Completely different experience than what most people will find in their kind of quintessential dry ciders. But before that, I would like to go for our Cortland. So we were talking about single varietals. So this is a wonderful eating apple, primarily. Discovered late 1800s, or actually bred in New York in the late 1800s. It is the first successful crossbred apple. It's a mixture of Macintosh and Ben Davis. You'll notice a very light color on it.
it is. The other was a pale straw. This is much paler.
Yeah. We initially,
Completely different. No,
So-
that's unique.
we find this one reminiscent of a Sauvignon Blanc, like New Zealand specifically Sauvignon Blanc.
That green
They
pepper
have those
kind of.
grapefruity, gooseberry.
Yeah. And it happened, that's what my son was named after. So it was like, we have to experiment with this apple. Initially bought it from our friends at Heirloom Orchards down in Hood River, another organic grower that we work with.
Oh, that's light on the palate, but very flavorful.
Yeah, kind of a good summer sessionable.
Yeah, I could drink that in hot weather all day long. Might not be able to go through it.
Yeah, the first year we made this, it had more body, I think, and that green pepper thing that was almost overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
But it was amazing how wine-like it was. And then the second year we made it, this one is a little lighter bodied than that. And the green pepper isn't,
Yeah.
it's more the
Pronounced.
grapefruit.
But the big difference was that first year we used a champagne yeast for primary fermentation, and this year it was 100% native yeast. So
Okay, so that's the
it
native yeast
changed.
are on the apple skin.
And just
there's
ambient in the
Hundreds of thousands of yeasts on there. So you're taking a chance when you do that.
Oh, big time.
Because you could lose the entire batch. So Cojones.
Again,
Wow.
pairs well with fresh steelhead that's the same color.
It would go well with salmon. This would go
Salmon.
well with
Yeah.
That way you
pork
don't-
loin.
Yeah.
It would go well with a lot of stuff here. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm very happily surprised.
When we found this and started playing with it, it was amazing. And we happened to get it out just before that kind of rosé fad hit the cider market. And so many of them changed to just hibiscus or beet juice or whatever was the trendy flavor at that point. And I think it hurt what red flesh ciders could have been.
That was
I'm sure it does.
Because so many
I
people-
already knew what it tasted like in general.
Yeah.
I didn't.
even the cider associations decided that ciders that were colored with something else, they could be called rosés, which that wouldn't happen in the wine world.
Yeah.
You just
They're
throw
worth
anything
nothing,
in
you
to
know,
make it
that
pink.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this one even makes this worth more than nothing because it's still and red flesh, and like nobody does that. Well, I mean,
Wine does.
yes,
Wine does.
I know. Which is
Cider
what.
does not.
And I
fine
don't
cider,
compare you
we're
guys to
always
beer.
trying to go to
I
wine.
compare you to wine. This is the French Normandy Brittany
Yeah.
Yes.
as opposed to England where it's another kind of beer almost. What's next?
And that's actually a good place to jump onto the next one.
Yeah.
So speaking of England, this is our kind of tribute to what got us into cider. This is our Pirate's Plank. So Pirate's Plank,
Northwest name if I ever heard.
this is our estate blend of primarily early season bitter sharp with a little bit of bittersweet cider apples in it. It's bottle conditioned. It's oak matured for about 3 months. It's a very, very unique product.
There's a subtlety to the nose on this and your other bottle conditioned one that are similar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks.
This is beautiful.
It's also the first ROP, Real Organic Project cider in the world, which I can let Bear go into a little bit more on the ROP. It's a very unique cider that,
Oh, this hits
Some-
evenly on all cylinders. Equally balanced, elegant. Initial attack is not overwhelming, but it's not pale. Mid palate just carries it on. Finish is still going on.
yeah, And-
This could stand with almost anyone.
So no residual sugar in that one.
No additional sugar.
completely bone dry. And that's where we've been,
So
as an industry, we've been talking a lot about the dryness of things,
so
where it's
no
more
residual
than
sugar in this.
none whatsoever.
Okay.
Test it.
And
Yeah.
Diabetic special.
yeah, exactly.
Right, that's right.
As an industry, we've been talking a lot about the residual sugar scale and how should we be talking about it, because it's a lot more than just bricks, like final gravity. Because there's, with true cider fruit, you can have a bone dry cider and have it be extremely fruity and interesting. But if you are fermenting Pink Ladies and Granny Smiths, you're gonna have a really boring, dry
I've had some of
acid
those.
bombs.
Very sour. One-dimensional.
But they're cheap.
One dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dimension is what we say about our orchard because this is with those tannins and aromatics and things like that. There's that second dimension that makes wine so nice, you know, and in particular this one here, and that's why we did this in the first place, is to have a two-dimensional certified organic cider that goes through all of the complex things of bottle conditioning and finishing off dry like this and never being touched by any pesticide. So this is a raw, living NOP, ROP, wildlife refuge. There's too many abbreviations, but it's a raw, living product in alcohol, which I don't know what it means. It's not bad, is it?
It's great.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's a good talking point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, isn't it?
It's also very long-lived. We've done a lot of vertical pours. It's always the ones that are 5 years old that people are like, oh, I love this one.
The bottle conditioning holds.
It really
and that's
holds.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And the fact that
And
it's not
tannins.
pasteurized.
Complex. In wine, at least, if you taste one flavor, then that's it. Simple wine. If you taste one, then you taste another one in the finish, and then it moves into something else. That's complex. This is complex, and for me, that's really the test of whether a wine or a cider is really worthy of the word excellent. Here's to you, my friends.
Thank you.
All right, so we've had two of our ciders, a blend,
I'm in love so far.
single varietal, a
next?
true single varietal, 100% Cortland. Now on to our Olympic Discovery Trail.
I have never seen cider, good cider, in a bag.
Well, you haven't
That's
had it
so
yet.
awesome for backpacking.
You don't know if it's good. You haven't had it yet.
Yeah.
It might not be.
If it's not, I'm going to be
It's definitely
shocked.
Yeah.
Everything else, you guys pay attention to all the details.
So we've been doing this in collaboration with the God.
The Olympic Discovery Trail.
Yeah. This year's blend is all red fleshed apples. So we use some of our.
Rosé.
It is.
Nice.
We have our Almadas, some Dolgos, which is more of a crab apple, but beautiful floral on it. We have our Airly Red, which is our single varietal in our glow, and a few others that are just really small batches. And we wanted to give something really special in these bags.
Ooh, beautiful color. Look at that. I'm thinking Veuve Clicquot Rosé. It looks
know.
like that. Oh,
In
So
a
the
bag.
bags are great in a lot of ways, but the disadvantage of the bag is, of course, you can't have carbonation in there. So these are still ciders.
but for boats,
Yeah,
for hiking,
yeah. That's two full
although-
bottles in there, and it weighs a fraction of what one of these bottles weighs.
Okay, so at the end of the hike.
Well, Steve always says 1 bottle for your hike in, 1 bottle for your hike out.
2 miles. That's all.
That's all you got.
2 miles,
1 mile up, 1 bottle. 1 mile back.
200 feet up.
200 feet. Yeah. To the chair. Yeah.
That is beautiful. It's completely different. The acidity is just delightful.
Mm-hmm.
The initial attack is rich, but not too much, and then we've got that nice mid palate, and then it blossoms at the end in this long, lingering finish that reminds me of all kinds of wonderful things. Rose petal, apple.
It does. Strictly apple. Yeah, it's great.
It's been a really fun project. Max Grover, who's a local artist, he is doing a series of paintings for us. So you probably can't see the one on the wall there, but that was the first one, and this is the second one he's doing, and we have 2 more in the series.
And you even have a map of the Discovery Trail.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This is
and it's a
delicious.
fundraiser, so a portion of each sale goes to the trail.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'd like to now bookend that with a single varietal red flesh.
Good.
Can we splash it with the glow?
Yes.
Sure.
So this is one of our most
Good.
popular
This is
ciders.
Big.
Every year
I
it
know.
changes,
I like
of
them,
course,
but these
as
are great.
as our ciders do, as every cider that is kind of harvest driven does. This apple has green skin with a little bit of blush coming up from the bottom of it. You cut it open and it's bright pink inside. I mean, like watermelon. Smells like those tiny mountain strawberries mixed with like cotton candy, and
I'm getting
it is a
strawberry bomb right in the middle.
spectacular apple.
And the finish is
When you said strawberry, it just went.
oh, it's still strawberries, but
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
an amazing
Long
apple.
finish.
But all that,
the finish
all that
is still dancing in
perfection
my
lasts.
mouth. This is wonderful. May I see the bottle?
The perfection of it lasts about 2 weeks though, and then the apples start to go soft and lose their acidity. So if you don't process them and pick them right at the right time,
Yeah.
it's,
You don't
you
get
know,
this
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
dancing in
The color drops out. It's one that we talked in the orchard about sweating. It's one that you cannot
You
sweat.
don't sweat.
No.
It's
Right.
pick press.
Yeah, that was,
I'm sure it does.
Because so many
I thought I
people.
already knew what it tasted like in general.
Yeah.
I didn't.
even the cider associations decided that ciders that were colored with something else they could be called rosés.
And we have 2 more to go?
2 more.
More to go.
Just 2 more to go.
And they're all estate fruit.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Pirate's Plank was early season fruit. Our Ember is all late season. So,
Does that mean there's more flavor?
And we'll
It's
talk
gonna
about
be-
those names right now for that. Remember, we're going to talk
yeah.
No.
It is going to be rounder. It's going to be richer. The tannins will be different. The acidity will be different. So the Pirate's Plank was kind of our tribute to the traditions. Thank you. I keep
Yeah.
forgetting to do that. The traditions in England, and this is more of our kind of more closer to a French style without the keeving
Without
that
the
you
keeving,
get.
yeah.
This has a beautiful nose, and it's complex. already.
Definitely like late season apple. Walking through the orchard, it kind of smells like those apples that we were cutting up out in the orchard.
Whoa.
I got chills going down my back. Damn, this is nice.
She said it best. And it's still unfolding.
Yeah. God.
Apples are amazing.
Yep. It's an
Yeah.
amazing
No
food.
errands.
Well, there was a saying,
No.
an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Here's my apple.
They're talking about, yeah.
Here's my apple, too.
No, I've tasted a mead from a 580-year-old recipe from Denmark that had apples in it. And so they have always used it, I think, but true cider came into being in Normandy as far as I can tell. But I don't know. What do you
No, it
They're-
goes farther back.
Yeah.
Back into the Middle East.
really?
The original apple orchards are in the mountains of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Um,
Actual apple forests.
Yeah, like that's where the apple
But
kind
they
of.
made cider?
Yeah.
There's
By default.
So they say the Moors brought it in through Spain, and then it came up through France and England that way.
Across Basque into France.
and we will finish this flight by something very special. So we finished our orchard walk with taking a look at those Perry pear espaliers.
Right.
This is our first cider made exclusively, or our first Perry made exclusively from those pears.
Usually we have very little pear juice.
Like it.
Goodness.
A true Perry, you will find absolutely nothing like it.
I've never smelled anything quite like that.
It was referred to as the champagne of England for centuries. They are such unique fruit, and when fermented properly, they make the most amazing product.
Why, that acidity is absolutely stunning. Well, thank you for having us out. This has been a delightful experience, and I'm a fan. And I'm a big fan now.
Well, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
So what was your favorites of that flight?
The rosé.
The rosé.
Yeah.